Hey everyone, and welcome to the Week 6 review, Week 7 preview. As always, I'm your commissioner, aka Mr. Modest, aka Buzzsaw, joined as always by the reigning champ, Joel Gibson. Joel Gibson, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I've had better weeks, I'll be honest. Got my booster shot this morning, so not feeling great. But we're here anyways. And before we get started, I wanted to say a couple things. First off, to Kyle, I want to apologize to you publicly. I got a little hot this week. It happens from time to time. I get angry. It happens. I apologize. I had to take a leave of absence from the room for a moment. I think we have all been at points with frustration of negotiating with CJ. It can be a tad bit trying. That said, I got a little hot. I apologize to everyone for popping off. I'm a better human than that. I can move forward. My B.
Excellent. And just like I told you before we started, that was very big of you. I know that's hard for you just in general to apologize, but when you're wrong, you tend to be one to admit it. So on behalf of at least myself, I accept your humble apology.
It doesn't happen very often, but when I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
Excellent. Well, with that being said, I do want to give a quick shout out to Steven in the messenger. Joel, I don't know if you saw this before we started shooting, and he quoted me as, "And as always, we'll start with the champs matchup. He took an L." I love it, Steven. I can't tell you how much I love that message from you, my friend. Absolutely fantastic. A great win on the road here. Joel Gibson, what do you have to say for yourself?
I'll say going into today, I liked my chances. It was super fucking close. We're talking like one steal and probably less than 10 rebounds. Turnovers within 2 or 3. It could have gone either way. I had DeAndre Melton today, who is generally known as a steal specialist, and he went out there and he got 0 today. That was super tough.
Yeah.
Good win for Steven. I'm not entirely discouraged with my team. I think there's some upside. There's some injuries that are holding me back. But I was right there with Steven, who I would say is one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league. I was there until the last possible minute.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to win the easy matchups.
Excellent. Absolutely. Steven played me really close. We got to Sunday and it was up to the fantasy gods. I just want to know, Joel Gibson, if you're saying Steven is one of the 2 or 3 best teams, I beat Steven. So do you put me in that 2 to 3 best team bracket?
No, I put you in the bottom 11, 12.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear you're honest with your rankings and everything like that. I appreciate that. Steven.
You're always rational.
Steven moves to 4-2. Joel moves to 3-3. Still 500. Still in a playoff spot. Good. Shout out to Steven. And like I said, man, when you posted that message, I can't tell you how big of a smile I got on my face. I do appreciate that. And I'm glad people are watching my introductions. I've been doing them the same way for 5 years now. And honestly, that made my night, Steven, so I appreciate that. Next matchup is Kyle beating Matt. Now, there was a lot of talk that Matt was going to be a top team and, things like that. Kyle's team wasn't really there. There's been talk about that as well. Kyle gets it done again and moves to 6-0. There is no doubt about it at this point. Kyle is a team to be reckoned with. He is in that top tier of teams until proven otherwise. It doesn't matter if we think people are going to fall off or what's going to happen. Until it happens, Kyle 6-0, Matt 4-2. Matt has Miles Bridges falling down a little bit there. I do want to note last week, Matt beat Doug. So me having Doug over Matt last week, this is exactly why. Matt and I talked about this a little bit. This is exactly why I thought that Matt was going to have a better chance at losing here, which is why he was lower. But I do want to make that correction that Matt did beat Doug, and I didn't mention that last week during my rankings, which is normally something that I do. So thank you, Matt, for looking into that. Right now, though, Kyle 6-0 and has another tough matchup next week. I am interested as hell to see how far Kyle can take this.
I'll say this. Kyle seems, when you really look at it and how the year is playing out, it's surprisingly solid. I say surprising only because of his history of being a terrible fantasy player. This year, obviously, he's looking pretty good. If his team reminds me a little bit of Matt's the year that he won, where, like, if Kyle just avoids injury, I don't think his upside is the highest team of any of the fantasy teams, but I feel like he's solid enough that he can withstand a couple of injuries, and if he can avoid them largely, he could definitely win the whole thing.
Absolutely. I think that, and I just wanted to point this out, Kyle dropping Suggs, we noted that when he originally did it. Suggs has been playing well since Kyle dropped him. And I don't know if it's just one of those things, trust me, Kyle, it happens to me all the time. You get really frustrated with a player, it's finally time to drop them, and then they blow up. It happens all the time. Basically, anybody I touch and get frustrated with. See Zubac, who I finally got back. Thank you, Steven, for dropping him. But as soon as I let him go, double machine. Just an example from my team. But like I said, shout out to Kyle, 6-0, still undefeated. Looking a lot like Neiman did last year. At around this time. So definitely following that. Next matchup is an upset matchup. This one was shocking to me. Eric beats Doug. In what I can only imagine and what I'll forever call the Wendell Carter Jr. Cup, because Wendell Carter Jr. was sensational for Eric this week. Capella's starting to come around. Lillard was there. Eric's getting healthy with Brown coming back. And beats Doug. I am shocked. Now, I said at the beginning of the year, and everybody gave me shit, that Eric was going to be a good team. And then he started losing a lot and stuff like that. He ends up beating Doug. So, shout out to Eric. He gets it done. He moves to 2-4. Doug, surprisingly, moves to 4-2 here.
Man, yeah, I wouldn't have bet on that, but sometimes it's just luck. And that's what I'm going to surmise it as, Thanksgiving luck.
Thanksgiving luck. Only 6 active days. It was like week 1 all over again. Wild shit happened. You know what else happened on week 1 that I would classify as wild shit? CJ beat me. You know what CJ did this week? CJ beats Adam. So if it is a short week, I'm convinced that CJ is going to run wild. He's going to run wild. I was really, first of all, congratulations, CJ. Second of all, I was devastated to see Ja go down the way he did. It does not look good. And man, if this isn't D Rose all over again, now Ja's a little bit younger, but the athleticism, shit like that, going down with this knee. I believe the left knee, the same knee.
It's just a sprain, right?
He's out for weeks, though. They are saying
It's like only 2 weeks.
I will look into that. The last thing I read, and I might have missed it, was it today that they said 2 weeks?
I don't remember. I have this vague memory of 2 weeks of thinking DeAnthony Melton's going to be a monster for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, The last thing I read, so if I am wrong, my bad. But the last thing that I read was it was going to be weeks, plural, longer than what fantasy owners imagined. So I assumed that if it is a sprain, it's a high-grade sprain. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. I didn't read anything on Morant today. I was reading yesterday. So if something came out today, I apologize. Either way, you hate to see athletic people get these knee injuries. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It ruins a lot of players and a lot of bright, shiny players, if you will. So I hate that. That being...
You remember last year, he came back from his injury and was not the same.
Exactly. And that's what I'm concerned about again. And these just add up, man. They add up and it sucks. I'm just... Like I said, I was disappointed, but congratulations to CJ. He moves to 3-3, same record as Joel Gibson. Adam moves to 2-4, which is a bummer and a tough spot, especially with Morant down. Randall's been slumping. If he didn't have Ball and Hero, he'd be in some trouble. He'd be in some trouble for sure, if he's not already there. Next matchup is Neiman, speaking of trouble, losing to Cody. Cody moving to 500, 3-3. And Neiman moving to 1-5. Sound the alarm for Neiman. Sound the alarm. It's becoming a problem. You have Joker, you have Curry, but it's becoming a problem. Anthony Edwards is going up and down. Hey, if you're frustrated with him, I will take him. But let's not include that in here. But sound the alarm. Neiman 1-5 to start the year. That's not where I thought he'd be, especially given the roster. Congratulations to Cody. He was the only East team to win this week, Joel Gibson. And that's not how it normally goes. The West is out to a 5-1 lead here. We're normally just not counting these because the East has beaten up on us for so many years. Not this year. Steven, Kyle, me. We are doing very well out in the West.
It's a weird year. It's a weird fucking year.
Last matchup is me beating Phil. Phil got Embiid back. Congratulations to Phil. He moves to 0-6. I moved to 4-2. Not an absolute ton to say about this matchup. I won 10-1. Harden got his 4th TD of the year, and I just hope that he continues with that. That's really it. Anything on this matchup, Joel Gibson?
Remember when he was on my team and he got TDs all the time?
Yeah, I remember that. I think he's starting to figure it out a little bit. Maybe not as much as scoring, but he's at least starting to get in shape that he can, make a little bit better passes, get a little more rebounds. So I get it. It's fine. Scoring, no big deal. He's still a top 5 fantasy player this year. So that's why I have him. That's why I kept him. And he's worth $50. At the end of the day, that's all I care about. He doesn't need to be number 1. I'd like him to be number 1. But number 5 or number 4, fine. Fine, okay?
I'm just saying, gee whiz. Those were the days when he was the number 1 player by a landslide and I had him. Those were great days. I remember those days.
I bet.
I think about them all the time. Towns. It was great.
All right, with that, we're going to move on to the rankings here. Last, we have Phil, 0-6. Look out, he's getting healthy. Embiid, I saw a little murmur of Zion scrimmaging. Look out. We'll see how it goes. I think Phil gets 1 win. I don't know who the win is against. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Phil gets 1 win this year. Hope it's not you. Next, number 11 is Neiman at 1-5. I did not think Neiman would ever get this low, but here we are, Neiman 11. Yowza. Number 10 is Adam. Adam fell down the rankings pretty quickly. He's been kind of on a skid. And now with Jaw out, I don't know. Eric won last week against Doug. Is he a playoff team? I'm not sure. We're going to see now that he's healthy. I think Eric might make a little bit of noise here. Now, I have CJ at the number 8 spot. There are multitude of reasons of why I have CJ there. But Cody is at the number 7 spot. Wouldn't you know that Cody and CJ play next week? Based on the record in last week's line, Cody would have won 7-4. Cody's without MPJ, so I'm fine taking that. I put Cody because I think he's more likely to beat CJ than CJ to beat him. I get it. If CJ wins, they will obviously be flip-flopped. Next, we have Joel Gibson falling to number 6. Joel Gibson, last week you talked about being number 3 if you won. You did not win. You are number 6, my friend.
I was in it all the way up till today. I could have been the number 3. I could have been.
Well, this next one's going to break your heart. Number 5 is Matt Hobert. Matt is number 5. He lost this week to Kyle. Now, there is a 4-way tie for second place. So I have it going from bottom or number 5. I have Matt, Steven, Doug, and myself. I won last week, and I also think that I have the highest probability to win coming next week. And I beat Steven as well. So I had to put myself above Steven. I didn't want to put Doug at the very bottom of this tie just because he lost to Eric. That's not really fair. It's a bad loss for sure. But Steven and Matt play this week. So because I beat Steven, I had to put myself above, and I wasn't going to reward Doug at number 2 after taking a loss. So I tried every way from Sunday to not put myself at number 2, but I didn't see a way that I could that made sense. So I'm number 2 this week. I play Adam next week at home. Doug lost, but he also plays Kyle next week. That could be a problem. And like I said, Steven plays Matt. And if Steven would have played Matt this week, it would have been 5-5-1 tie. Steven is the home team next week. So that's why those 4 kind of racked out how they did. Number 1, of course, is 6-0 Kyle, rounding out the rankings. Joel, any comments?
Who could have seen this coming?
Who could have seen this coming? Nobody. Kyle has a 2-game lead and right now the tiebreaker against me because he beat me. So theoretically, as a 2.5-game lead, he could pick up a 2.5-game lead on Doug this week if he beats him. It is insane what we're doing here.
Who?
Who? And I guess it would be a 3.5-game lead because Doug would actually take the loss and Kyle would get the win, but that's neither here nor there. Math's hard, okay? With that being said, we'll get into week 7. Joel Gibson, a sneaky tough matchup, 3-3 at Mike Neiman. Neiman needs a win. Neiman needs a win badly. Joel Gibson needs a win badly. Both of these teams need wins. And if Joel puts Neiman at 1-6 halfway through the season, we are going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem, and we might not see Neiman sneak into the playoffs at all. Joel, are you going to win this week?
God damn it, we are. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because Jokic is not going to play this week. He and I talked about it. His thumb is feeling, icky. It's not great. And he doesn't want to do that to me. I was once a Husky boy. He was once a Husky boy. Previously, Husky boys don't do that kind of thing to each other. So he's going to sit out all week. I'm gonna just cruise to this nice victory, and we're gonna stay on the playoff path.
Excellent. This would be a big win for Neiman. I'm going to take Joel on the road more just because I don't want to see Neiman sneak into the playoffs and have to play as a 7-8 seed and play Kyle or myself or whoever those 1-2 are. I think he'd be a problem come playoff time. So we might as well just bury him while we got him. Put him in the ground. I'm picking Joel Gibson.
I think it's because you think Josh Giddey is the second coming of Pistol Pete, and that's okay.
I love Josh Giddey, actually, but that's neither here nor there. Next matchup, we alluded to it earlier, Doug at Kyle. Doug just lost to Eric. So this is a show-me matchup for Doug, and Kyle looking for a 7-0 start. Wowza. I think Neiman got to 9-0 before he took his first loss last year. I might be wrong. It might have been 8-0. But Kyle looking to get close. I like Kyle at home here. I'm not a fan of me saying that. Doug's team didn't put up like an overly impressive line to me this week. Now, I know Voos returned this week, right? I think at least for half the week he was back. So that's interesting to me. I don't see any reason. Now, Cole Anthony is out for Monday. So let's just keep that in mind as well. Davis with the injury problems. There's a lot of stuff. But KD has been sensational for Kyle. Sensational. So I'm just going to ride the lightning and go with Kyle.
It's super tough because the things that could really lift Doug are if Nerlens Noel plays and is good this week. If Nikola Vucevic, or not Vucevic, if Nikola Jokic sits and Aaron Gordon just has a hot week, if Jalen Brunson comes back this week and is just playing at a career high pace, all those things make him able to touch Kyle. But I'm going to pick Kyle. It's not an easy choice. I don't feel good about it because I do really like a lot of the pieces on Doug's team. I'm going to pick Kyle, but it's with the utmost reluctance.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like I think it's going to be a landslide either. I think it's going to be a close one. In close ones, I tend to go with a home team unless they have like a Westbrook or a Harden or a Greek or something like that that can get them that triple-double edge. Next matchup.
Lonzo is that?
What's that?
You don't think Lonzo could be that?
Lonzo could be that, but is he that? That's my question. Like, I get what you're saying. He could be, but he's not on the level of a Westbrook or a Harden as far as a triple-double goes.
Fair enough.
Next matchup is, if the last matchup wasn't, this matchup is the matchup of the week, in my opinion. Matt at Steven. Steven just beat the reigning champ. Matt just lost to the number 1 seed. Both coming off interesting weeks. This is one of those like do or die. And Steven would have won 5-5-1 and is the home team. Matt, without Ben Simmons, is still riding in the top 5 in the league. So I get it. I understand. I don't think Ben Simmons is playing in Philly this year. So if they can't find a trade, and I said this to you as well, if they can't find someone to trade him to, he's not playing. He's not doing it. So I don't think that Matt gets him back, and I think he stays middle of the pack the rest of the season, and it starts right here when Steven beats him as the home team.
I agree strongly. When I just look at their rosters, I like Stevens more. I don't like Matt's that much.
Absolutely, and Zion coming. There are so many things that could happen that could make Matt's roster worse that It's a problem. And Bam has not been the top 30 player he's been in the past. The assists have gone. They're gone. They're not coming back. They're all gone. Well, that being said, we move into the fourth matchup. Cody at CJ, both 3-3. Very interesting matchups next week. I'm telling you, we're at that part in the season where all of these teams could have been faking it to this point or just had bad runs or, to get to this point. But now we start separating the men from the boys, if you will. We start putting head-to-head records across conferences. Well, this one's also difficult. I am taking I'm taking Cody on the road here. Cody would have won 7-4 if they had played this week. Even Cody without MPJ, I don't think MPJ is going to play the rest of the season. He's going to have back surgery, and I will be again anointed as correct on Michael Porter Jr. You guys can send me your "you were right" cards. I will take them all. I'll hang them up. It's fine, no big deal. But Cody is still a force to be reckoned with. That many early picks. His team's really good. Zinger's been playing decent. Fox is starting to turn it around. I think Cody wins on the road here.
I too am picking Cody, and it's not on a grudge basis. It's just I think Cody's team is better.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Next matchup is Adam at Modest. Adam doesn't have Ja. Adam doesn't have a chance. Mr. Modest wins at home here, even without a triple-double. Mobley came back early. Oh, my boys, he looks great. Garland has looked absolutely sensational for me. Beal's starting to turn it around. Jimmy's been Jimmy. Harden's been Harden. We are starting to mold that into shape, boys. Molding it into shape. I'm taking myself at home this week.
I too am picking you.
Excellent. A shame, Adam, that you had to lose Ja for this week as well. I'm not going to hate on it because I'm fine with it. It's just, if we were really going to talk about a serious matchup, you probably needed Ja to make it happen. Last matchup is Phil at Eric. I don't know what to make of Eric's team. He beats Doug, but he loses to everyone in the West. Is just everyone in the West that much better that maybe Eric is going to start beating these East teams? I've thought about that as well. Based on last week, we could say it's possible. 5-1 for the West last week. Eric is going to win this week, if you ask me. Jaylen Brown coming back. Phil is just not healthy enough yet to compete at this point, and Eric's hot, so I'm going to take him at home.
Yeah, it would just take a monster Embiid week, which I'm not saying is out of the realm of
40 points his first game back.
Yeah, I mean, if he just has a monster week, he might be able to just bull right through Eric, but I am picking Eric.
I agree, and if that's the case, I think we agreed on all of them. And if that's the case, that means the West will win 4 out of 6 again next week. You're predicting a 9-3 lead for the West this year. We might have to stop keeping track because the West is blowing the East out so hard.
That's all right. We're saving the wins for the playoffs. And by we, I mean me.
I sure hope not. Again, Joel, like I said, I respect you for coming on and apologizing as we wrap up here. It was a rough spot for everybody. I remained silent in the messenger for this reason. I will just say from a league perspective, number one, I'm glad we're getting rid of the veto rule. I will have as commissioner, I'll be able to decide if people are getting fucked over, which will not be very often, especially in Dynasty. There are so many arguments that can be made. But also, I think that there are some times that we take into account that, people we don't want to win or people we don't think should get the trade or things like that are unfair. And that's the system. I'm not saying that that's wrong or right, but I do think sometimes some bias can go into it. So I'm really excited to get rid of that rule next year. All that being said, I hope we can all just move on past this. It wasn't really that big of a deal anyway. We all kind of have had situations where we've lost our temper in the past and we've recovered, so I'm not really too worried about it. Phil was sent in his lineups this week. As a last note, if you've made it this far, I told you guys I believed in Phil. He loved my message or the video last week, so he's watching the videos. I think he's going to be great for Dynasty. I really do, when he's able to pick his own team. He just has had absolutely rotten luck. Shea wasn't playing this week. I was watching, and just so many people sitting for Phil. It is absolutely insane. If he doesn't win most injured, I don't care what happens for the rest of the season. If he doesn't win most injured, I will be astonished this year. He's also going to win Rookie of the Year. Not every year we get to award one of those. So he will get to come into the group with Eric and myself as the only winners of Rookie of the Year, as long as we've had the league. So look forward to that, Phil. Joel, anything else?
Just one thing I want to touch on when it comes to the veto. Here's why I think it's a dumb rule. And you could apply it to both, if you apply it to real life, no one was happy when Kevin Garnett got traded to the Celtics that wasn't a Celtics fan. Or the reverse. No one was happy that wasn't a Lakers fan when Pau Gasol got traded to the Lakers. But the league didn't then take a poll on whether it was okay or not. These are the kind of reasons why I think the veto needs to go away. Personal biases, all that bullshit goes out the window, including recruiting people to veto your own trade. So, that's my 2 cents.
Well said. I get it, and like I said, we talked a little bit off camera about it, and I get everyone's side. It's not that big of a deal. Let's just put it behind us. At the end of the day, we should all just remember the important thing, and that is Joel is only 500 right now. He is only 500 in the league, and that's what's important.
You can only hold me back for so long. Break through, baby.
All right, good luck to everybody, and thanks guys as always for watching. I'm the commissioner, Mr. Modest, Joel Gibson. We'll see you guys next week, and good luck.
Adios.